He had made a big mistake while we were away in commercial break. He stepped up during the break thinking that he was allowed a practice shot, but he wasn't. So this shot where he left the 10-pin is going to stand. The house was pumping music. People were throwing out hats, and people were standing up kind of doing a seventh-inning stretch. And Osku, again, thought, according to him, that he could get a practice shot. Instead, that practice shot will stand. Slams down the 10th. That was an angry spare conversion.
Well, in his own defense, this is only his second ever telecast. And he just figured, hey, I can get up and throw a practice shot. I'm on this pair. There's a pure bedlam going on right now during the commercial break, and didn't know it.
See if that hurts him or not. A spare in the fourth for Osku. We'll circle that. Here is Scroggins in the fourth. Back-to-back jacks for Scroggins.
And with that, Mike Scroggins takes the early lead through 4 frames. But remember, it's not who leads, it's the low score. The low score will be eliminated in this match. Right now, the low score going to Brian Kretzer.
Kretzer started with the strikes since then. A 9 spare and an 8 spare. Here he is in the fourth. Come on, Messenger in front of the 10.
Yeah, and Brian, with a spare here, will only trail Osku Palermo by 3 pins.
Kretzer, 0 wins on the tour. Talked to him last night about that PBA cut line, and he was below it coming into the week. He said, you know, it's always there. Outside about 8 or 10 guys, once the season starts, you immediately start thinking about that exempt cut line. And every time I won another match this week, it wasn't about the money. It was about the points and moving up the list.
Yeah, talking about living on the edge. He was outside of the cut number coming into this week, and what a time to have a week where you make television.
3 in a row for Scroggins, who's making back-to-back shows for the 5th time in his career. This week, he moved into the top 25 all-time in career earnings, over 1.3 mil. And the kind of season he's having, he said, you know, probably my top 3, not my best. Had he won the U.S. Open last week, probably would have been his best season ever. Kretzer in the 5th. Needs a strike. Gets the strike. A lot of Kretzers in the house. His daughter, Megan, and the other daughter, Madison, there. His son, Mason, and his 2 grandsons. Right through the nose for Palermo.
Yeah, and a bad time to leave the 3-6-9-10. And he just went from a 3-pin lead over Brian Kretzer to trailing now by a pin if he were to convert here.
Kretzer telling us he likes this format, saying, I'm not an overly aggressive bowler on the tour. I'm usually looking at what I need to do to be above somebody or some line, which is exactly what you have to do today. So back-to-back strikes for Kretzer as he sits down, done in the 6th.
Well, and unlike regular matches where it's just you against your opponent and you have 1 score to beat, now
big open frame.
I mean, now there's 2 players and potentially 2 guys, and you only have to beat one of them. To me, that takes a lot of pressure off of you, knowing that, hey, I don't have to be the high guy, I just don't have to be the low guy. Osku Palermo in big trouble now with an open in the 5th. Scroggins working on a 3-back.
Hambone! Come on, show me those signs. Yeah, smile enough, Scroggy. That was a delayed gratification, Hambone.
Oh, and I just got beat up on my co-host because Mike Scroggins had to go and trip the 3-pin.
Palermo off that open frame, and fortunate to have that leave.
And Osku in trouble now, halfway through, 6th frame, trailing Brian Kretzer by 13. Kretzer working on a double. Can extend it to 23.
3 in a row for Kretzer. He's got Mo on his side.
He said this may be the easiest win for me if I get to the title match. And it's looking to shape up that way. Brian Kretzer and possibly a Mike Scroggins showdown unless Osku can pull something out with 4 frames remaining.
Scroggins made the Eliminator telecast last season, finished 3rd. Here he is, looking for 5 in a row. Drops the nickel to Scroggy.
Do you think he remembers what happened last year with Barnes and Mika ganging up on him and Rhino Page? Because it was obvious. Yeah, it was obvious. It didn't sit well with him last year, and I bet you he still remembers that. That's in the back of his mind. He says, I'm going to get some revenge on those right-handers.
Palermo cannot take care of the 10.
Stay hard.
Yeah, and right now Brian Kretzer can all but eliminate Osku with a shot here in the 8th frame, looking for another 4-bagger.
Brian Kretzer trying to drop the Kirk Herbstreit. Give him a Herbstreit!
I'm guessing Kirk was number 4?
Absolutely. College Game Day Zone Kirk Herbstreit lives here in Columbus. Number 4 as a Buckeye drops the Herbstreit.
He was a quarterback.
Man, you know that. You're just giving me a hard time now. Palermo in big trouble. Scroggins on top. Kretzer down 12 is perfectly fine for him.
Yeah, but he's down 12 to Mike Scroggins, but he's up a bunch over Osku Palermo.
Scroggins dialed in right now. He said, after such a draining week last week at the U.S. Open, thought he wouldn't do very well. Had low expectations coming into Columbus. First 7 games, he said, I was poor in qualifying. Then I got my legs. I got that second win, snuck into the top 16, and he was the only lefty to do that. And here he is, almost in the title match. A much-needed strike for Palermo.
I got a little bit softer and started opening the lane up a little bit. The